Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Lower 48ers. Today we have a special guest uh from Anchorage, Alaska. It's gonna kind of be our upper one guy, I guess.
All right, we weren't gonna use that, but here we go.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
so
not a
this
saying, by the way. That's not a saying.
this week we decided to change things up, and we're starting a little series like we said last week. We brought in one of my good friends. His name's Chris. We've known each other pretty much the entire time I've lived here in Alaska, and right now we're currently living together as a couple. No, we're not gay, but we're man, we're on one tonight. Anyway.
I know who's sleeping on the couch tonight.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought. Derek, let's recap what we talked about last week.
Yeah, last week we kind of indulged into your vulnerability and your acceptance of other people's trauma, which is very admirable. You definitely take the high road. But yeah, we kind of talked about relationships, some other bullshit. But now we're gonna talk more relationships. But Chris's relationships because he's born and raised here. We're just a couple guys that came up here and got thrown into this shit. Chris has the full blown Alaskan experience. So he's going to be our Alaskan expert this evening.
I'm more of an Anchorage expert.
An Anchorage expert.
In a lot of ways, I'm just a city boy.
He's
you're a city
boy. City of Anchorage. Anchorage, Alaska. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Chris.
Yeah. I grew up in West Anchorage.
West Side.
I was not born in Alaska, which is kind of weird to say, but I moved here when I was like 3 weeks old. My folks were raised in Alaska. My mom was born in Washington, and my dad was born and raised in Anchorage, West Anchorage, and he was going through flight school in California, and just like 3 weeks after I was born, moved to Anchorage, Alaska. I've honestly, up until about 19 years old, I lived in West Anchorage. So our city's gone through a lot of changes, and I've seen some shit.
Side.
Let's talk about this shit that you see.
Anchorage is really bad, huh?
Yeah. A lot of the older, like my dad's generation and the generation after that, for a long time, they would be like, this isn't the Anchorage I grew up with. This isn't the Alaska I know. And I would be like, shut up. Like, be older, like sound older. But it's bad. It's gotten.
What's bad about it? Because I ain't gonna lie, like coming from where I'm from and coming here, like Anchorage feels pretty, and I'm not trying to, downplay it, but it don't have the same, like the way people talk about it's so bad. It's a lot of crime here. Like where I'm from, it's pretty mild. So I guess, so tell us what it was like for you growing up and how it is now.
I think the first clear sign that things were different was the Cars Aurora Village. I grew up 2 blocks from that Cars. That's the one on Northern Lights in Minnesota. Pretty sure it's the first Cars, like the original Cars.
We'll have to fact check that later.
Yeah, don't quote me. Anyway, yeah. No, we would I went to Romig, I went to West. Like, I used to eat at the deli for lunch with my friends, and they used to be open 24/7, no security guards. And it was probably I think it was 10 years ago. There started to be shootings, people just shattering windows, and then first we started seeing security guards only at night, and then you saw them there all the time. And They close at like midnight now or like 11. And I mean, every time I'm there, I see somebody shoplifting.
Man.
And the homeless problem in Anchorage
Oh,
has,
man, the damn homeless.
yeah,
That's your boy.
I'm not hating on the homeless. I'm hating on how we're treating the homeless and
Yes.
how
Yes.
our state
Well,
has been.
some people would say they should just get a damn job. That would solve it, right?
Which is crazy because
I feel like we're
the
on like
homeless situation here is
on
so complex, man.
a wacky radio station right now. You're gonna be
Uh,
No,
you're gonna start to play like sound effects or something.
in the first week, we talked about our experiences working with the homeless populations. And so all three of us have experience working in trauma-informed
Here.
environments. So,
Yeah.
we can somewhat just sit here and just clown around for a minute about it. So
So
Well,
I think
yeah.
that was where I thought you were gonna go there first. Honestly, when I asked, I was like, "Is it the homeless problem that's here?" Because that's what I always think when people say, "Oh, this city is so bad." I think they're talking about the homeless crisis that's going on right now. Um, but I ain't gonna lie, man. I feel like a lot of the homeless people here are just chill. Like I don't feel like they're aggressive. Like they're gonna mug you. They just be chilling, minding their business for the most part. I never got mugged by a homeless person.
man, I was doing outreach once and I almost did, but that's a different story.
We gotta go there. We gonna circle back.
That's sweet, Derek. It's not that chill. No, but
Wow.
I met some of the most inspiring, most intelligent, wisest people that are living on the streets. But the fact of the matter is that we are not treating our homeless population with enough respect. And it kind of goes hand in hand with how we treat our Alaska Native population. How the government treats our Alaska Native population. The majority of our homeless are Alaska Native, and it's just really unfortunate.
You are on native land. That's
We
what my
are.
hat says for those that can't see it.
Well, on my screen, my big ass head in the way, so I can't see. Damn thing. But no, that's real, bro. I mean, it is. It does have a lot to do with that, especially man, like man, working at the Sullivan, seeing so many people that were from villages, and the way like it was explained to me was like the villages are like kind of underdeveloped, and some of them like some people come here to go to the hospital and they end up just stuck here, and because like they might be from a dry village and they're in the city and they can drink, they just end up staying here and not really caring. And a lot of the case managers would really work to try to get people back home, and that would be the goal. But
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna. That's what I was saying. Like the homeless situation is so complex. It's not just like lazy people. It's a lot of mental illness. It's a lot of just self-soothing because kind of going into what we're talking about the trauma. A lot of people come from very traumatic situations in their village, so they try to self-soothe through liquor or sometimes drugs like meth, or that fat. So yeah, man, it is sad. It really is sad. Like on a serious note, y'all know we're not laughing at the homeless, but it's like I just think it's like when people talk about how bad it is and they bring up the homelessness and working in the homelessness field, I would be very sensitive to it. Like I almost I'll get defensive kind of.
100%.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you kind of feel like, oh, the homeless. And I'm like, man, like DJ was saying, like, go get a job. I'm like, it ain't that easy. A lot of them work.
Yeah.
When I worked at complex care, I used to take some of them to work. Like, yeah, I ain't gonna say where they work at, but I would literally, hey, I need a ride to work. I'm about to be late. Hey, I got you, because I don't want to lose their job because that's going to lose their opportunity to get housing. So it's not
Yeah.
a thing of laziness.
Part of my job as a case manager, when I was a case manager, was helping them find jobs, like that's what you do. And so people don't realize that, but it's the ones that don't have an open mind and they're always throwing in their 2 cents on how to solve the problem, but they don't actually have any solutions because their
Yeah.
solutions are very non-logical.
Yeah. And so many people are, the common phrase when homeless people ask for money is go get a fucking job, and they might get a job, somebody might get a job, but how do you expect someone to get a job and hold it down long enough to be able to afford their own place to live? Like, it's hard enough just getting to an interview on time when you don't, especially in Alaska, where you don't have money for a cab, you don't have a car. The people, the transit system is pretty shitty here. Like, that's the most common. Actually, since I've been a kid, that's something that's always stayed the same. People mover still fucking sucks. I will say it's gotten slightly better, but it's still the same thing. It's either too early, the bus is either too early or too late. So I tell our youth all the time, like, on the schedule, it says, I tell my client, how about I tell my clients? I tell my clients all the time, I say, whatever time you're trying to be at the bus stop, minus 10 minutes, and you'll probably get on the right bus.
That's very nice of you, Chris.
I'm a nice guy. No, earlier you mentioned underdeveloped villages and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And not all of them are like that. It depends on how much
No.
oil is
Yeah,
out,
Yeah,
on their
no,
land.
not all
yeah,
of them.
Barrow has a bus system.
Really?
Yeah, that's crazy. And yet they're still dragging people's dead bodies with us side
Man,
by
that
That
side.
is
was
that
crazy.
was
That was
terrible.
Yeah,
crazy.
That
and
was
that was a
terrible, bro.
17-year-old boy. But that's a different story.
But that goes into what Chris was talking about, how they treat them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, bro, what kind of care was that? That was disgusting, man. And I knew people that know those people. I don't know, man. That shit bothers me. Like, police, I don't know. I don't, I can't say here, but man, where I'm from, my relationship with police is a little different, but I
Why's
don't like
that?
that. And it's sitting up here. Why is that? I mean,
No, why?
no, I mean, you know why? I mean, I've had a personal experience where I almost died in police custody, and just like, bro, it's dumb shit. Police just fuck with me for different reasons. And so I don't really, trust them. But kind of going back to what we're talking about, yeah, that the villages, not all of them are bad. Like, it's not just like, it's not igloos like people think it is. They have the HUD houses. It's just a lot of them haven't been updated. So when I say like underdeveloped, meaning like they don't go and what is it called? Weatherization. Like they're not
Yeah, they're not
updating
updating.
them. Yeah, they're
Yeah, I
not
know
updating. They're just kind of
some
saying,
villages have HUD homes from like the 60s and they haven't
right,
been updated. There's some villages use honeypots, which is, if you are unfamiliar with the honeypot, it's literally shitting in a bucket. So there's a lot when
I'm
you think
familiar.
of like, well, no, I'm talking to our viewers. When you think of like a third world country, there are villages in America that are treated like a third world country.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah. And yeah, and
but I think like
it's
where
all over.
Mm-hmm.
some people kind of, their villages are, I'm not gonna say like, it's not like Anchorage, but they have a road system. And I think when I say the one that's like off the road system, those, they don't have like all the resources a city would have. And so a lot of people have to rely on each other, even
Yeah.
going to something like counseling, that type of stuff is hard to go there because everybody knows everybody. Somebody's going to be in your business. They're going to, so it's hard to really live a quote unquote normal life like we would live or have
Yeah,
those same resources.
I
And
uh,
so,
I'll share
yeah,
a little tidbit about work. So one of my staff, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but she's worried that she's going to be treated differently if she is outspoken about a certain project that we're working on in her village. And I told her, don't worry, I'll advocate for it because I'm in Anchorage and they don't know me, so they can hate me. So it's my job for them to hate me. And she got all excited. She's like, "Thank you so much," because they treat me differently when I talk about it. And I'm like, don't worry, I'll take the heat for it because that's my job. But I kind of want to get us back on track. We kind of got off track there a little bit.
Wait, first, shout out to David Ortiz, by the way,
Yeah,
Boston Red Sox legend, Big Poppy.
Big Poppy. I don't know why Chris is
So random.
I don't know why Chris is a Red Sox fan, but you did spend some time in the lower 48, right?
Yes.
And what beautiful city did you live in?
I actually, since you're questioning my fanhood, the first baseball game I ever went to was a Red Sox game when I was about 12. My aunt used to live in Boston. So fuck
Okay.
you. No, so I spent my whole life, up until I was 24, wanting to live in a big city. I discovered professional sports, when I was about 10.
As most of us
No,
do.
eight. I was 8 when I discovered the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, bang, bang, Niner gang. I don't even like the
Yep.
Niners. I just like seeing
And
that.
the rest was history. I wish I could just like look at a sporting event, like at the bar at an airport, and just be like, oh, I wonder who's playing the match. I'm like watching, like it doesn't even matter who it is. It could be South Florida versus anybody.
But we've had conversations before that you say that you are not necessarily a college sports fan as much as a professional sports fan. Is that because the relatively low number of college sports in Alaska and just like the media around college sports, at least for you?
Well, so I only really care. I try to get into college every year. I watch like a few games. I like to watch like the big rivalry games.
Yeah, I mean, we watched
You know,
the championship together.
yeah,
So
that was fucking lame. But
Oh, hate Ohio
like
State.
I would love to go to like a Bama Auburn. Go to the Iron Bowl sometime.
Well,
But I only can name like the players that are like going top 10 in the draft. Like and I one of my best friends growing up, he was a diehard. Derek's not gonna like this, but he was a diehard Miami Hurricanes fan.
oh no, I like the
And
Canes. I just hate the University of Florida. That's it.
okay, yeah, fuck them.
Yeah.
And someone that also grew up being obsessed with rap music and that culture, I thought they were the coolest fucking thing. The
No,
coolest
listen,
team, the
man, the
scrapiest
Hurricanes,
team.
no, they were. Especially the 2000, 2001 team. I mean,
Well, yeah.
yeah, they
Oh
were
yeah,
deep.
they were one of the best ever. But
So
So
the
Chris, you end up moving to San Francisco?
yeah, so
And you
my whole
okay.
life I wanted to live in San Francisco, and just to go to 49er games, because I was
Uh,
going there a couple times a year to go to 49ers games, and I was like, this city is pretty fucking dope. Like, why don't I'm
so you
24 now? Like, why
so you
can't I
moved
just
there?
live here?
Yeah.
okay. Did you get a chance to go to the game?
I went to a lot of games. So the year that I moved there was their last. Well, it was the year before was their last at Candlestick Park.
Yeah, I was
So I
gonna
moved to
ask you, did you
Santa.
go to Candlestick?
Yeah, so I went to
Yeah.
the first ever game at Levi Stadium. It was a heartbreaking loss to Chicago. Great when they had Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall had 3 touchdowns, and it was just and 40 like San Francisco fans were fucking pissed. No one was going to the games, so I could get tickets for like nothing, and I would just sneak. I would get like $50 nosebleed tickets and sneak down to the lower level, and that's when we had like Chip Kelly, and so
Terrible
yeah,
last chip cap.
so they just lost a lot, and it was just lame. But it was just being able to go to professional sporting events. I went to a bunch of Warriors games. That was sick. And I
Oh,
went
nice.
to
Because you can't do that in Alaska.
Yeah, I was about to say, how was that
exactly.
transition for you? Like coming
Yeah.
from Anchorage, now you're in the actual big city,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and How was that experience for you? Was it overwhelming, or did you just adjust quickly?
I adjusted pretty quickly.
There was a big culture shock.
Not really, because I had been going there,
Mhm.
a couple times a year.
But I mean, you've told me some stories about like some wild things you would see like
A
on a regular.
lot of now, we have a homeless issue in Alaska. San Francisco's on like another level. Like
Yeah, what's the area where all the homeless people live out there in San Francisco? I can't think of the name.
there's the Tenderloin is the worst
The
neighborhood.
Tenderloin. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. Yeah, yeah.
and it's like the only neighborhood that they can't gentrify, that they
Mm.
haven't gentrified. So I got really lucky, and I was able to get a house in Bayview, Hunters Point, part of San Francisco,
Is that like the
which is
suburbs?
no, it's it's the opposite. It's
Okay.
like 99% African American community. The Hunters Point are the projects, and I was
You
like
live in the
right in
projects,
between.
Chris?
I was like a block away from the projects,
Oh,
and the only reason why I found my buddy and his buddy, we found a house for a little under $3,000 a month, a 3-bedroom house with a yard and a garage, which in any other neighborhood would have cost $8,000 to $10,000 a month. Like San Francisco's crazy.
God,
Yeah.
no way.
We got really lucky because the folks that bought the street that we lived on was all homeowners, new homeowners,
Yeah.
and so it was quiet in our neighborhood for the most part. I'll never forget the first night my buddy and I moved in. He's from Iowa, and he'd already been living in San Francisco for a couple of years, but we found this awesome house. We got our stuff moved in. It's towards the end of the night, like we just like have this moment, like we're just like, we're in here, man. Like, because we were living in shitholes before that, and we gave each other a hug. And like in that moment, there was a shotgun blast, like right outside our fucking window. And like the
That
window
reminds me
shook.
of living in DC when I lived in DC.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
DC I've actually heard is, there are a lot of comparisons to San Francisco. I know.
Yeah, I lived in
DC get busy.
the southeast side of DC with shout out Romello and
Hey,
his aunt, and I almost got stabbed once. There'd always be cops on the side of the street with AR-15s, and Romello locked me out of the house one night, and I had to sleep outside with the homeless folks. But
wow.
yeah, that was a comfortable night sleeping outside with the
And
homies.
that's the night that DJ lost his virginity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but um, to compare, to compare the homeless population to the Alaska homeless population, you said it's a lot worse there than
Yeah.
it is here.
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
robbed out there.
Yeah,
So I mean, yeah. So like when I moved to the Bayview, everyone was like, "How is it over there?" The crime in that neighborhood was predominantly like gang related, and I'm not in a fucking gang. No one ever fucked with me.
Yeah.
That's also around that time is when I started kind of losing my hair, and the first time I went to a barber, it was in my neighborhood. I
You went to a
remember my
black
barber.
barber.
I went to a black barber shop.
He lined your beard up real nice, and you was like,
He actually wasn't that great.
"Well,
Like
that's
my
all you
barber,
want me."
my
he was
barber
probably
now
on.
is
He was probably cracked out, honestly.
no. Well, yeah. So I we ended up becoming friends. So his name's Kid. His name's Kid. Shout
Kid?
out to Kid. I hope you're still
Kid?
alive.
Yeah,
That's
kid,
all
he's
he's
definitely
still alive.
cracked out. Yeah, he's
Well,
He's
definitely
still
cracked
alive,
out.
kid.
He lived in Oakland. He lived in Oakland, and he was
He's from the
and
town, man. Shout
obviously
out to the town.
He probably knows
he's-
Marshawn.
I think we talked. I think he met him actually. But
See?
he
Yeah.
was an aspiring rapper.
Oh yeah, all the lines are pointing there. He's cracked out. That's why he's a shitty barber.
But I'll never forget when I first went in there though. Like I walk in and I could hear everyone arguing and talking about shit.
Chris said, "I'm at home."
No, and then I I walk in and they all just stop talking. I was like,
They say police.
There goes the neighborhood.
well, pretty much, yeah. But I was like, hey, blah blah blah. I'd like to get a lineup, blah, whatever.
He said, I
And
can't cut white people
nobody's
hair.
there's like 3 other barbers, and they were like, nobody was saying anything. But this guy Kid, he was like, yo, over here.
Yo, Kid is the guy that doesn't get anybody.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
he was
He was
happy.
like, yeah, let me get this.
It
Probably.
makes sense. He's the
He was
guy.
always-
His
he was
chair's
always-
always open.
He's the
His
apprentice.
chair's always open. Yo, I got you.
He was always arguing with like bitches over the phone, like as he's like buzzing my head.
Oh yeah, see.
Like, no, I'm busy, bitch. And
But we love the women in our lives. We do not call them bitches. We do not condone that kind of language.
Kid didn't.
But
Kid didn't give a fuck.
how would you compare? You were dating when you were in the lower 48, right? You weren't like on your healing journey, right?
Healing journey?
There
No.
he is. So how would you compare dating in the lower 48 to up here?
A lot more. It's a lot easier to go on dates.
Down there?
To find somebody to go on dates with. Yeah.
So last week we talked about the how hard it is to be in a successful relationship up here. Would you agree with that statement?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with your experience dating up here, why is it hard? I mean, for me, I have the same sentiment that it is easier in the lower 48 to date than it is up here. But I have my own views, and I want to, see what your view is for someone that's been up here a lot longer than me.
Yeah. For me, something that I noticed about myself, and it sucks that it took me this long to kind of be more conscientious of it. I start going into that depressive isolation mode the same time every year.
So it's like seasonal depression.
Yeah. And I don't know how many relationships that I started in like May and spent like the whole summer together. We're in love. I went on a vacation with the girl. I thought I'm in love, man. I finally found that person. We went to San Francisco. I saw Jay-Z and Justin Timberlake with her. Shout out to Hove. And we just it went from like this bliss, summer relationship to we're fucking pissed at each other all the time. It's like October, and come December, by December, it's over, and I have kind of a lot of stories like that where it's like things started, as well as a relationship can start. And then it's such a drop off with the darkness. And I've found that no matter how much vitamin D I take, no matter how many days in a row I take my multivitamin, no matter how much fish oil I take, I still turn into Drake in the winter and get very depressed.
You should go to the gym, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
No, and I go to the,
I take all my vitamins, but the gym is, well, for me, that's like the best outlet. Like you take my fish oil and my 1-a-day vitamins, and man, I take all kind of shit, but going to the gym is always like the best thing. But also the other thing that my wife and I started to do, and this is what I seen our relationship really like start to blossom, was like going to marriage counseling, or even like, for you, it'd probably be like relationship counseling, because
he loves to talk about being married. He's like, yeah, I'm married.
Yeah, I'm married, man. I don't have these.
Yeah.
I don't
He's
have
like,
the same experience.
by the way,
you guys.
not gay.
And man, like
gayer than marriage, by the way.
So,
hey,
I mean, yeah,
hey.
I agree with that statement, Derek. That, if you are committed to the person, that you'll work on your problems together, but that takes mutual agreement and understanding to go to counseling together. And some people just aren't about it. But last week I touched on there's a lot of brokenness up here there's a lot of brokenness and with generational trauma and and like the depression and the alcoholism. Like,
Yeah.
has that been a factor in your relationships?
No, yeah. I will say, Derek, you can't talk shit. Can't say shit. You grew up in the Sunshine State. All right.
What is that even?
So when I'm almost like, it reminds me of Bane in Dark Knight,
Yeah,
you adopted the darkness,
I
you
was
adopted the
born in it,
darkness. Yeah, I was born in
molded
this
by
shit,
it.
Yeah. And depression, and
I mean, bro, you got this is the one thing though. Black people didn't believe in therapy. Like growing up, like
that's
going to
true, yeah.
therapy, they would be like,
No,
nah, you just need Jesus. That was like the solution to everything. Like they didn't. And I just promote counseling because going to
yeah.
it, I just know how it works. And I think if more people went to counseling, it'll fix a lot of, I can say fix,
Oh
it'll
yeah.
help people. Cause all right, first of all, we do those trauma informed care classes and we done that training. We work in that field. So we know how it can have a positive effect on people. Just having somebody there that understands
I mean, shit,
that
I'm
alone.
going to school to be a therapist, so yeah.
And this is Mr. Therapy guy over here, he's like,
You
I
gotta do
know that
my thing.
Dude doesn't even go to
DJ is like,
therapy.
that's not you,
I
that's
go
your
to
trauma.
therapy. I go to
You know,
therapy.
he
And
go to
I
therapy.
journal. I do my self-help stuff, you know.
No, you
It's
don't.
all
It's hard for me to
yeah, I
journal
do.
No, you
because
don't.
every time I go back and read it, I cringe.
you wanna look at my journal? I'll pull it up.
No, I want to see your journal. Yeah,
No,
like I
no,
don't want to
no,
see.
no, Derek. I wasn't making fun of the counseling part. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
No,
And
no, it's all good, bro.
I started going to therapy 6 months ago, and it's changed my life. It's the first time I had gone to therapy off and on like a couple times and never really gave it a chance. And this is the first time that I've really like been intentional.
Mhm.
And my therapist is fucking, he's sick. Shout out Dr. Vogel, Lighted Path
Yo,
Therapy.
shout out to Dr. Vogel.
Dr.
Yeah.
Vogel, we're gonna get you on the episode.
When I was like growing up, man, growing up in Alaska and just struggling with ADHD and depression. And my mom was like, shout out Cheryl. She's the shit.
Is she gonna
Shout
listen
out
to
to
this? Are you
Cheryl.
gonna share this with her?
No, man, no, yeah, I
My
will.
mom listens. Yeah, my mom's our
Yeah.
number one viewer.
Yeah, yeah.
Your mom and my mom,
Shout
your
out
mom and
to
my mom would be
Debbie.
friends for sure. Shout out to Cheryl too.
I want to meet Auntie Debbie, man. Shout out.
She's pretty cool. My folks, they split when I was like 8 or 9, and
Damn.
my mom didn't really know what to do with me. And she would drop me off to go to counseling, and I'd go into the office or into the building and wait until she drove off, and then I'd leave and I'd walk around for an hour until my mom got back, and I just never gave therapy a chance. And back to what you were saying about the importance of therapy, and back to the issue that we have with our homeless, that is the number one, that is the number one driving force behind it. Not enough mental health services,
Why do you
no,
think I
not
changed my
enough.
course? Why do you think I changed my career path?
Is
I
your special
realized,
ed?
yeah, I realized that, and I was like, you know what? I can help make a difference in the life of people, and I connect well with the Alaskan Native population, and I've seen it with the male population for Alaskan Natives. I can really relate to them and help them, and so I can get them to talk about things that they won't talk to other people about. So that's what one of my driving factors is to help men in life, not necessarily just Alaskan Native men, but every man. Men should be able to talk about their feelings, and because when I was younger, I didn't. I ran away from my feelings, and it made me a really angry person for a long time until I realized that it's not going to get me anywhere in life. So I changed my outlook, and here I am today.
Man, you speak about men expressing like their feelings and stuff. It was like funny because up until recently, maybe like a couple months ago, I was talking to our counselor, and one of my struggles is like being vulnerable. because I wasn't raised to be vulnerable,
Mm.
and my dad, even in our conversations now, he would say like, I wish I would have affirmed you more, and to him, affirming me was like soft. He grew up real tough. So he was like the same way with me. Like he wouldn't tell me like, "Oh, good job, son. Wow, way to go." It'd be like I could do something good. He'd be like, "Oh, you could have done that better." It wasn't really. And so I have a big issue with like affirming myself, but also making myself vulnerable. Like sadness, like I'm not gonna feel sadness. Like DJ say, like it come out in anger. I just don't care. But recently, I've been kind of more in tune with myself and allow myself to have my feelings and feel things and
Yeah.
I feel a lot better. I still hate the feeling of feeling sadness or like it feels so weird to me, but it's something I'm really actively working on. But I can see
Yeah.
how DJ is already there because just how in conversations in the past talking about other people's trauma, how understanding he is. He's just like, and I'm like, man, like, I don't know if I could be that understanding. Like, somebody wrong with me, I'm ready for some get back. DJ like, it's a trauma response. And I'm like, damn, it's a different level of maturity. He's so young. He look old as shit, but he's young.
He's younger than me, like way younger than me.
Yeah, you're
He's
the
younger than
oldest.
both of us.
You're the oldest of the three, Chris.
I know. I look young, but
Yeah.
uh,
So that cocoa butter.
So I did that to say that, like, this is me being vulnerable. I have a lot of sadness and I don't know how to process it. So
And
I
yeah,
Alaska
just,
doesn't make that easier, man. Alaska does not
hell no.
make that
and
easier.
that is that's great that you and your wife go to therapy because that's the biggest thing you get out of therapy is learning how to express those feelings. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot what most people do when they don't want to feel sad or they don't you, want to think about this or think about that, they turn on Netflix or just play a video game to distract
Fucking
themselves.
scroll through TikTok.
Yeah, you have a good therapist when he or she challenges you to live in that sadness and learn
You have
how
to
to
sit in it.
describe it. Yeah, and
That was my really biggest challenge when I was first learning how to. Sorry, Denali's trying to bust in, but that was like my biggest challenge when I was first learning how to handle myself and handle my feelings was how to describe my feelings because I used to not be able to put them into words. I'd be like, what is this? What am I feeling? Why do I feel this way? I don't know what's happening. And that's a different episode. Further down the line, but
yeah,
Yeah.
we got
Hey,
a
I
lot.
think I think we should we gotta bring Chris back the next one and we should continue on, or maybe we need an overtime segment. Maybe this is a conversation we can have
I
on.
mean, I mean, we're
I would
sitting
love
at
to
40.
elaborate more on
well,
We're,
this.
we're
DJ
sitting
was
at 46 minutes.
I
We
was
got some
about to
questions to answer though.
I was about to
Wait, what do you say?
talk about the answers shit about the homeless problem in San Francisco, but then he fucking interrupted me.
Well, look, let's bring Chris back for
Yeah.
another episode because this is going a lot deeper than I guess that we both thought.
I started my own podcast. It's
Hey,
it's
shout out
gonna
Hey,
be
Jarrell,
Jarrell.
called
hey, shout out
it's gonna
Jarrell.
be
That's my
called
Florida boy right there, man. That's
yeah.
that's my
Yep,
boy.
Jarrell's dumb. You guys, we're gonna call our podcast just like the better looking versions of DJ and Derek.
Earlier, Chris was like, I think Derek's the black version of you. I was like, he is. His nickname's literally DJ.
Yeah, yeah.
Although Derek's wife says that I'm also black, so I'll take that and
I was like, I wonder if Derek talks about you as much as you talk about him. Because DJ is always like, "Nah, Derek said the other day, Derek said this.
I'm not
Like,
I'm
oh
not
my
always
God.
like that. I'm not
Wow,
always
I'm
like that,
DJ,
talking
but
I didn't
Derek
know you
all
the
felt that
time.
way.
I see Derek like every day of the week now. So, well, I have for like the past like 10, 12 months. So
Yeah, I miss you at the office, man. It's not the same.
it's okay.
There's a void. There's a big void, y'all know. But
You
you
know,
have
we were going to ask,
I would say exact number, but I can't say it. But there's many reasons why I'm happy for you.
13 reasons why? 13 reasons why?
we were going to
So
ask,
DJ leaving was my 13th reason.
we were going to, I said that in the office once, so they didn't understand what I meant. But we were gonna ask you questions about Alaska, more in-depth questions
What
about.
is the time limit, by the way? What do we have to
We
cut
try
it
to we
off?
try to we try to keep it at 35 minutes, but last week we went to 42 minutes, and now we're sitting at 50 minutes.
Why does that matter? They're like
I don't
2-hour,
know.
3-hour podcasts. What does it matter, dude?
Because what do you fucking you want a 2 hour? You want to listen to a 2 hour podcast?
No one's.
Wait.
That's
When we get more listeners, we'll
Yeah,
we're trying to get real people
we're
in
trying
right
to be
now.
captivating.
Yes.
You want to sit and listen to the pilot episode of a new podcast for 2 hours? I turn that shit off and walk away.
well. First of all,
That's
we
'cause
need
you
to
got
start
80
doing it. First of all, we need to start doing it like how they like Shane Gillis and those guys do it, and like sit on a couch and sit together.
Well,
And
do you
shoot the
have a studio that I can do that in? I have a couch, but I also
No,
have
I'm
a
just
cat,
saying.
and we have 2 dogs, and
Listen,
We can also rent space.
I'm still in the process of finding us a studio. We just gotta get the equipment, I think. I think I found a place, but it's just we gotta get the equipment. But hey, sometimes it's cool just to film at the crib. We just gotta get
yeah,
some nice background decorations, set it up real nice.
yeah, my gun cabinet doesn't work, but
Look, we get a hookah and
oh,
some liquor.
I have a hookah. Yeah,
I know
I'm
you.
Middle Eastern. You gotta have a
Yeah,
hookah when you're
I
Middle
was just
Eastern.
about to say that. Yeah, we getting it right Monday.
More like
Well,
I'm not.
Midwestern.
I'm not Arab.
Middle
I'm Jewish,
Eastern.
but I am.
Fucking, you're from Ohio.
Okay, but I look at my DNA. It's Middle Eastern. I'm North African, Middle Eastern, and European.
Well, I probably got some from Middle Eastern in there.
No, look, you look like fucking Jolly Leprechaun.
Nah, listen, I met Chris. I think Chris is just white chocolate. He is. When you say he watched porn, I was like, he definitely goes to the interracial
No,
section.
Chris almost married a black girl.
I love the black queens. I love the black women.
That's why
Although I did not marry one.
He's like
My
I'm
wife
married to a
is
white
Alaskan
woman, but
native.
he's
I'm married to the Alaskan native.
Look, he found his first native girl. He's like, I'm marrying you.
Yeah, that's right. My first day over there, they cooked for me.
He was one
she
and
brought
done.
me hula hands. I was one and done. Yeah, man. I was a cold black man.
Some of us get hurt left and right, but we walk outside and we just get hurt.
Listen, they made me some caribou soup and put some seal oil in it, and I was, give me a cuss butt big right now. Like this, I'm living the life right now, man. I'm living on a dream.
Love will find you, Chris, as it will find me. I do
Chris, she has
believe
a lot
that.
of friends. I can introduce you.
Yeah, I tried to hook you up with one of them. Remember?
I'm your guy, man. Listen, I got you.
Yeah.
Anyway, somebody want to know what are some good restaurants to eat out here, Chris. A hidden gem to me, in my opinion, a hidden gem is Fanatic. I like Fanatic. They got the best spring rolls and their reindeer sausage wontons, hands down. I go there just for that. The pho's good, but
Fanatic is pretty good.
yeah,
It's definitely not. I don't know how long you've been to Alaska, but it's gotten. It was a hidden gem, but it's definitely blown up over the years. It doesn't make it any less delicious. I grew up going to Falena.
I heard about Falena.
Yeah, so Falena used to be in a little tiny like shack right on the corner of Spinard and Northern Lights. And they blew up over the years, and now they have like a bigger location, and they have a location down the street on Spinard, and then they have a place downtown, and they have a place on Boniface. Shout out Falena. My personal favorite restaurant is Thai Orchid. If you like love Thai food, Thai
Yeah.
Orchid. It's on. Damn, DJ just got better looking.
Hey, what's up, Janelle? Janelle say, "Burr." He's not trying to talk.
He's never been cuter. If you love Thai food, try Thai Orchid on. It's on DeBar and Lake Otis. Amazing.
Don't forget to get your
If you like Mediterranean food, Turkish Delight.
Turkish
DJ,
delight
have you
is
been
pretty
there?
good. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Turkish Delight.
Come on, you know I've been.
Never been to Turkish Delight yet.
They got some good hummus.
Hummus.
Yeah, it's right next to that Brown Jug on Northern Lights and Lake Otis. It's bomb. Moose's Tooth just opened a whole new location called iTooth. It's not a pizza restaurant. It's kind of an everyday
Is it
restaurant.
like
Shout
Beartooth
out.
almost?
I don't know yet. I haven't been, but it's called
Okay.
iTooth.
Fuck. My bad.
And we should do our next podcast. We should do our next podcast. iTooth.
Chris is like, yeah, I'm just gonna be the third host, you know.
He ain't a lower 48er, but he can be the. We need him.
Well,
We need
actually,
him. We
his
need
birth
the-
certificate is from San Francisco.
Well, we need a.
No, dude, I'm from Fresno.
Oh, well, same fucking
Born in
place, California.
Fresno.
What's the difference?
It's
One of
like
those, you hipster.
opposites. Fresno? No, it's like fucking. There are more cows than people.
I tell you what,
I
brother.
think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool to have an Alaskan on here because I think we need, that perspective as well. Somebody that can tell us like, oh yeah, what we wrong, because we just giving our opinion. And I know because we from
It's
the lower
not-
48,
they're
people from Alaska
constructive.
might hate us.
Yes, but they are well-informed opinions. I mean,
I don't think we
I'm
shit
not-
on Alaska because I
I'm not
actually love it
basing
here.
I love it here too, but I'm
I'm
not basing my
so great
opinion
about
based
it,
on. I'm not basing my opinion based on irrelevant information. I'm basing it on factual information that I've learned while living here.
Yeah, I think I just know how I try to tread like I said. I feel like people are very sensitive, especially when it comes to the opinions of
Especially
people that are
old
from here.
people.
because
Yeah.
people, because they look at us like we want to come here and change it. I don't want to change anything about this place. I mean, I like it. I mean, for me, growing up
Yeah,
in Tampa,
I
living in
like-
Vegas, I lived in LA and lived in San Diego. This is more of my speed. I love
Well,
going
They
to
want
all the
Alaska.
places around here.
They want Alaska to continue to be how it was when they first moved up here when they were 6 back in 1970, back when it was only the whites.
I don't think the whites are the only ones here.
But that's how they interpret it, because that's when segregation was still around. All right, and you know what? That's how they interpret it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you my favorite thing about it. I love that
DJ was going to be the most serious person on this podcast, and he's been derailing this whole thing. What
Listen,
the
I
fuck,
just want to say
man?
my favorite thing about Alaska when I came here
Your wife.
was seeing my
Yeah,
wife. Okay, yes,
he
my
saw
wife was
he
my
saw
favorite.
when he got off the
Yes.
plane. She was
No,
holding
she
up.
got me before I got the plane.
She
She was
was
like, "You're
holding
not
up-
meeting no."
She was
Body
holding up a
else, you
sign
are-
that said Mrs. Fullwood with an arrow, and he said, "Oh, there she is."
Man, I just want to say though, just seeing like the native people here, and to me, they're like, I don't know the demographic, so, but to me, I feel like I see more natives than I see any other demographic, and I love that. I love that,
Well, you also you're married to a native. You work in a native industry, like you work for a native corporation.
yeah, yes, yes, and I go to AFN, I go to everything native, and I love it. You know what I'm saying? I love everything about this place, man. I just love native culture. I love the people. I love,
Great
you
day
know,
to be indigenous.
it's another great day to.
You mentioned that so many people are like, we don't want things to change, and that's exactly what's wrong. That's exactly what's wrong.
No, so I was gonna say that something. It is something that needs to be
Yeah.
updated here. Number
So
one, interiors. The interiors of apartments and housing, like there's no modern appliances.
well, I
But
mean,
that's a side note.
that's like superficial stuff. The stuff inside
I'm
the
an old
apartments
man
need to
now.
be
We can-
nicer.
We need white cabinets, not brown. But no, you're right, Chris.
No,
That mentality is holding Alaska back in other ways.
And Widener needs to be shut down.
I am not co-signing that.
Widener has monopoly on all the apartments around here, and there's surcharging the price times 3.
well, dude, it's because there's so many of these vouchers. They just know people will just get
All
their
right,
rent paid
but-
with a voucher.
So I lived in Russian Jack neighborhood when I first moved here, and for those that don't know, that's kind of like the ghetto.
I
And
know.
well, there's like a homicide a day in the neighborhood. But when I first moved here, the
Cite your
price of my,
sources, dude. You can't say
Oh,
that
look-
shit.
I'll go look it
According
up.
to
I'll cut it out. But
a
when I
homicide a
first-
day was the South Central. Like what? What are you
I'll go-
talking about?
I'll go look it up. But there was a lot of homicides in the neighborhood. There was a lot of homeless, and the apartment that I lived in was $895 a month. The same apartment today, $1,300. $1,300 a month.
Nah,
For
I
one
would say
gym
the
apartment.
rent prices here are a little crazy.
Um,
Cost of living
well,
is kind of high.
But I was the point that I was trying to make though is Alaska is a very old and white state, and every politician that gets voted in, for governor or whatever, are the ones that are like we're gonna give you $2,000 for your dividend. We're not gonna cut the dividend like Bill Walker, who's just trying to make Alaska a better state, a more sustainable state. There's just like this population of old white folks that
Like the governor is from
yes,
Pennsylvania, but what's his name? Dan Sullivan's
Pennsylvania-
from Ohio.
All right, but Chris, so you said that mentality of being like, don't change Alaska sucks. Elaborate, please, because you said it, not me, and I don't want nobody to be mad at me because I'm from the lower
Well,
48.
Alaska is historically a red state.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people here that are so pissed off about the homeless but refuse to put in any time, put in any money. Think if every Alaskan was taxed like 10% of their dividend every year
Well,
to go
whoa.
to
Don't touch
mental
my
health
dividend.
services.
Yeah, I'm getting my first one this year, so don't do that to me.
Well, that's just an example, but just something so small
Here's
would
a
make
crazy thing.
a crazy difference.
What
We
about
pay
a sales
taxes,
tax?
sales tax? What if we
Sales tax, that's something
what if
that's
we
going to
pay
be
income tax? We don't pay state income tax, and that's why our schools are shit. That's why like everything is shit here. That's why we don't have proper like road maintenance. That's why we don't have.
Oh.
There's nothing
well,
here.
actually, that's the issue with our fucking local government. So the big thing this winter's been like weird as fuck, but the last 2 winters before, we keep having these issues with like the graders and on the main roads. And my stepdad was director of planning for the municipality of Anchorage. The issue is that like Northern Lights, Minnesota, those main roads are state roads.
Mhm.
And the Muni has the graders. So the Muni and the state, they're squabbling over fucking graders and grading the main roads in Anchorage, and that's why the streets weren't getting cleared. Like, it's a nightmare, and it's a problem with our local government. In our assembly, is they squabble over the most mundane shit and refuse to really like take on problems head on, and there's just no one can agree, and all the while there are people suffering.
Yeah, last year that shit was. Whew, I'm happy this year wasn't as bad as last year. Last year was. I came in January 2023. I remember seeing all of that snow, and then the last winter, how much snow we had, and like how terrible the roads were so many times. Like, I mean, how many days they gave us like delayed start at work? I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I was like, it's too much snow for me. I ain't going to work. So I would use PTO because, you know, I mean, I grew up in Florida. We grew up on a lot of rain, wet roads, but snowy, icy roads, a whole nother ball game for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand why they just wouldn't plow the roads like right away. But I think you kind of answered that question that I had because I was always wondering why. People blame Brunson. This year, what's her name? LaFrance?
France, yeah.
Yeah, she didn't really get tested because we didn't get a lot of snow. So I guess it's a dub for her. But, you know, that was one of the issues that I definitely noticed was like, damn, they don't care about the roads. I mean, even the road on our street, that shit is janky. And my wife was like, they don't really care about the streets here. And I'm like, well, that's kind of shitty, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess, I mean, I don't know. What is up with the local politics here? Like, what is?
It's a bunch of California liberals trying to make our state California.
No, like what? Like, what is up with them? Like, this homeless issue definitely has to be addressed, and I feel like there's places where I feel like they can build a nice shelter, and you can hire case managers to help
Not
these
in my
people either
neighborhood.
get back home or get housed, you know, or do we need to build, like, have a tiny home village? You see some major cities starting to do that now. They build
There's one.
like the tiny
There's
home.
one with like 6 houses over there by the Alaskan Native congregation of the church over there on I forget what the actual church name is, but it's an Alaskan Native church. But they it's on not C Street, 15th, I think.
Well, they were supposed to make a navigation center right across from that strip mall where like Blue Fox is and that Wendy's is on Elmore and Tudor.
Dang, that's right down the street.
That big open field right there. They said they were gonna make a navigation center. That was like 3 years ago.
But while we're there, I mean, I don't feel like a lot of homeless people in that area.
Because they're trying to get it away from downtown, and because downtown is where most of the tourists go. And you know, if you've ever noticed during the summer, they'll have teams of I forget what it's called, downtown partnership. They'll go around waking homeless people up early in the morning to get them off the street before the tourists wake up, and they'll do like cleanup in the morning, and they think since it's close to the hospitals, it'll be easier to kind of filter them through. So
that makes sense. Just hide it all from everybody. It's not address it. Just hide it.
Adam,
anyway,
that's how most people deal with their problems.
I gotta eat dinner. I'm gonna get in trouble with my wife. This is going over.
We've been chopping it up for a while.
This turned to a hangout, and I'm enjoying it. You know, hanging out with Chris. We gotta do this again. Listen, Chris. Listen, we would love to have you back.
We would love to have you back. Well, I thought next week we were having a different guest. Are we going to push that guest back?
We can push that guest back.
Or
we can add him in there too, but we can push it back.
I think we
need more Chris.
I think we need to scratch like half this episode and just wear all the same clothes another day and just cut it and act like it's all one session because.
Okay. Well, do you want to cut this up and then let me eat dinner and we can come back and then actually ask you the tough questions, Chris? What do you want to do?
Well, I don't give a fuck.
I like this episode. This is a good episode.
This is a good episode.
Talk without DJ like looking down like this the whole time.
You don't have to look at me.
Looking at his dog, playing with his dog, interrupting me.
My dog. Look, we are sitting at an hour and 11 minutes because
I'm going to get in trouble. I'm about to go.
He is married to a Native woman. He's going to get in trouble. So I'm going to edit this video and we're going to post half of this video. And
you can't say shit like that, DJ. You better cut that out.
But bottom line is I'm going to edit this video and we're going to upload this video. So
DJ, I don't think we should. Native woman, so I think he's qualified.
We'll be back with another episode with Chris, our esteemed guest, to answer more amazing questions about Alaska, the dating scene in Alaska, the food scene in Alaska, and any other questions that you guys have been burning to
Barely
ask.
asked me anything about
Yeah, because
Alaska.
you talked about fucking random shit for 45 minutes. But
Talked about exactly what you asked me about.
eh,
Shout out to the listeners. Thank you for joining us
thank you
for
for
another
joining us.
episode of the Lord
Fuck your
48ers.
listeners.
Chris will be back
Fuck your
next
listeners
week.
and fuck you
This
too.
is the Lord 48ers. We'll be back. We love you.